Story number one is that the Tokyo government is launching its own dating app this summer to combat the dropping marriage rates in the prefecture. Story number two is popular J-pop band Mrs. Green Apple is currently under fire for their music video Columbus because of its alleged racist undertones. And finally, we have story number three. More and more facilities in Japan are thinking of implementing tiered or dual pricing, which means higher prices for tourists and more budget-friendly for local residents. Can't speak well today. What is going on? All right, we've got a packed 30-minute episode today. Which story are you looking forward to hear about the most? Please put them in the chat. As I go about these stories, please know that I am telling you the summarized version from different sources, and I will be putting the references when this video is uploaded as a regular video, not a live stream on YouTube. But they are easily verifiable, and I think maybe some of you have already seen these news pieces come out as well. Oh, Christian Taylor is asking me, what is your job? I am a digital marketer for a travel company. So that's why, that's where the interest is coming from in terms of travel. And then that's why I also picked these pieces of news as well. And Patricia says, it's super rainy here in Argentina. I thought you were in Japan, actually. Okay, so you're currently in Argentina. I hope you're having a great time there. All right, Patricia is one of like our longtime viewers of this channel. So I'm like really super happy that he's continuing to watch the channel after all this time. Sometimes I don't even upload regularly. All right. Okay, so let's go to story number one. New Tokyo dating app aims to spark marriages amid birth rate crisis. So as you know, Japan as a developing country has the same problem as other developing countries wherein the birth rate is constantly dropping. Okay, so let me get into the story. Big news coming out of Tokyo as the local government is stepping into the dating scene by launching its own app this summer. The aim? To tackle Japan's serious decline in birth rates by promoting marriage. In a unique approach, the Tokyo government is spending 200 million yen to develop an app that not only connects singles but also ensures they're serious about marriage by requiring proof of income, single status, and even an interview process. So I don't know about you, but this sounds like a very rigorous process to sign up for an app. So why is Tokyo doing this? Well, the birth rate has hit record lows, and with an aging population, Japan faces severe labor shortages. Many locals aren't actively using existing dating platforms, and about 70% of Tokyoites who want to get married aren't taking steps to find a partner. I wonder why. Tokyo government app intends to be more reliable and focus on forming lasting relationships compared to commercial dating apps, which often cater to casual encounters. Public reaction, as I'm sure you've probably been wondering about, it is currently mixed. While some appreciate the government's efforts to ensure safety and seriousness in dating, others question whether it's a good use of tax money. Concerns have also been raised about the rigorous verification process, possibly deterring younger, lower-income individuals. The underlying issues contributing to Japan's low marriage rates include financial pressures, that's, I think, for the rest of the world as well, a desire for independence in changing social norms, making many young Japanese hesitant to marry and start families. As Tokyo tries out this modern solution to an age-old problem, it's clear that improving Japan's demographic dynamics won't be straightforward, but for now, Tokyo's playing Cupid, and it's a development we'll be watching close by. All right, what do you guys think about this? I'm just gonna go ahead and chill with this water. Oh, okay. Really? I'm looking at Patricia's message right now. I didn't know. Okay, so he's moved back to Japan. All right, so you're not really up to date about like what's going here in Japan, I guess. So, okay. I'll try to keep you updated. Okay, so what do you all think about this app that the Tokyo government is trying to develop? Is this a yay or nay for you guys? Because I have my opinion already set. It's not very kind. Okay, so I think it's commendable that the Tokyo government is trying to do this. They're actively seeking to find solutions for a long-standing problem in the country. But I feel like they're focusing on the symptoms instead of addressing the actual problems. So, firstly, we already have a lot of dating apps in Japan. And I think their stance, the government stance right now, is that these apps are mostly for hookups, but that's not the case. So I have friends who use these dating apps, and some of them you have to pay like 3,000 yen just to register. And it's kind of proof like you're really serious in getting married and or finding a partner. But yeah, so I don't see the difference of like going through these apps and going through a government app. What kind of apps do you have in your country, by the way? Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Christian says if there will be some perks for signing up for the app, like for example, if they get married. Oh, that is true. Yeah, I would actually. Yeah, because we don't know what the government plans on doing for like these couples who actually get married through the app. Because it's gonna be launched, I think, by the end of summer. And then Patricia says, I kind of hate dating apps to begin with. I'm not sure the government would make it better experience in any significant way. Same, my experience with dating apps have not been good. I don't know. I think I just maybe I need to put a little bit more effort because sometimes I sign up with these dating apps and then I just forget about them altogether. So yeah, I don't see the difference. One of the reasons why a lot of people try are not getting married in Japan, according to a survey from Recruit, is that 40% is financial reasons, and I think that's the same with, or sort of the same with the rest of the world. In, I mean, in this economy, when you get married, it's kind of like putting yourself in debt unless you're really earning a lot of money. And I also think that it's kind of unfair for the child because, yeah, you end up not being able to provide for that child. What do you think? And I think I've mentioned this in some of my other videos, but my master's was actually gender and media, so I'm not so sure about the male side because my focus was on women. But when I was studying, there were several reasons why marriage was not appealing to Japanese women. And one of that is the loss of identity. So in Japan, when you get married, your whole identity becomes that of a wife and a mother, especially that of a mother. And your identity as a woman just disappears. And this is it reinforced in several institutions. For example, the tax. Uh, Japan is not very good at giving married couples a tax break, especially for dual income. So the way it works is that only one of the married couple can be a breadwinner, and then the other person has to earn at most only 1 million yen. And if it's more than 1 million yen, then you're not going to get a tax break. Yeah, so that's how bad it is. So you kind of get that financial freedom taken away from you as well when you get married. If you do go to the route where only one of you is the main breadwinner. And yes, it's in a lot of cases, it's the women who actually have to sacrifice their careers for this tax break. The other limiting institution for women in this case is that once you become a mother, you have to be actively engaged in schools. For example, mothers are expected to prepare bentos for their kids, and in some cases, the schools actually check the health balance if a bento is well balanced, for example. And sometimes they also expect mothers to, for example, sew patches to on the uniforms of their children. And these are very strict expectations that once you become a mother, you can only become a mother. And it is causing a lot of women to become depressed. Of course, I'm not a mother, And actually, none of my friends, none of my close friends are actually mothers. All of us are single, to be honest. I don't know why. But I do have, like, in my circle, my senpais, for example, they're married, and some colleagues from work as well. And I can see this playing out. So it's not just, yeah, a lot of my knowledge, I would say, would come from papers and stuff. But I see this playing out every day in the people I meet as well. All right. So that's what I think about it. And I don't know about you guys, like, if you've ever worked with, I might get in trouble for saying this. If you've ever worked with the Japanese government, sometimes, I'm not saying all, but sometimes I feel like at the beginning of the fiscal year, which is around April, they set an allocated budget for everything that they need to address. And they have to keep, or they have to use this budget, all of it, by the end of the year. Otherwise, they're not going to get any budget anymore. So sometimes I feel like some projects, they're just throwing away money and they don't really care about the result. And again, they're just spending it for the sake of spending. I'm not saying it's for everything, but I've seen it happen more than once. I know other professionals who have also experienced this and find this really very frustrating. Yeah, it's one of those things in Japan. Okay. Yeah, so that's really what I think about it. I don't know what is the system like in your countries? In the Philippines, I'd say, like, it's really more it is dual income in some cases, but at least when I was growing up, it was more like women work more than men. At least, again, in my environment, and a lot of the men actually don't work. And then they have the gall to cheat as well. I don't know why it's like that. Okay. All right. Patricia says, I feel that the traditional Japanese marriages are more utilitarian in Japan, with men having their wives taking care of them. Yeah, you're kind of expected to be the mother as well. So, yeah, it's not very attractive. When you're dating, you kind of like assume the role of like a sweet couple and stuff. But once you get married, it's like, I mean, it's not just Japan, but it's more so, it's more felt in Japan, I feel. And he also says, I feel the expectations for a partner are higher in recent years. Do you mean like we expect our partners to be like our best friends and every role that fulfills ourselves kind of in that way? I think so, yeah. Like, I think it's a general trend as well. And yeah, I would agree the economic situation is really worse. Like, I'm not really interested in that marriage anymore, to be honest. But I don't know. That's still an open door for me, but I feel like having children, I'm gonna break my mother's heart by saying this, but I'm really not interested in having children. There's a lot of it is the economic situation, and a lot of it is also like, I'm not sure if bringing up a child in this world is really a good idea, or is good for the child. Yeah, that's what. Okay. All right. So that's the first story. Excuse me. So our second story is about Mrs. Green Apple, and I'm not sure if you guys know this band. So they are a very popular band in Japan, especially in the recent years. They have really been climbing the charts. They've been doing well until this scandal. One of their most famous songs is Dance Hall, if you know that. It's that the daijoubu, that song. And then they also composed the theme song for the One Piece movie with Uta. In the movie, the theme song was sung by Ado, and it's very high. I'm not gonna attempt to sing it because it is very high. And they composed this song, and they also released their own version of the song. And yeah, actually, it is in my opinion, a very good song. And just the voice of the vocalist is like, he has a very wide range, and it's really high. I can't even sing that high. And really, I recommend listening to this song. As you can tell, I listen to the band's music and I wouldn't go as far as to say I'm a fan, but I am a casual listener who more or less looks forward to their new releases, which is why it broke my heart to learn about this news. So let me get into it. Let me read the summary here. All right. J-pop band's colonial theme in Columbus video meets harsh criticism. Japanese pop band Mrs. Green Apple recently faced backlash for their new music video titled Columbus. This is also the title of the song. Released just Wednesday last week, the video was swiftly pulled from circulation due to its portrayal of Christopher Columbus and scenes showing the band members dressed as historical figures interacting with characters depicted as apes. Ouch. Critics argued that the video was discriminatory and trivialized colonial history by showing Columbus, teaching, and civilizing these ape-like figures. Christopher Columbus, known for his 15th century voyages that opened the Americas to European colonization, is a controversial figure. His legacy includes the beginning of transatlantic slavery and severe mistreatment of native populations. This historical context has led to increasing scrutiny and criticism of his glorification, as it should be. The public reaction was swift and severe, and by public here, I don't even mean the English-speaking public or netizens. It is actually the Japanese netizens, which is a very big surprise, that reacted negatively, which caused this video to be taken down. Right. Continuing. This led to the video's removal less than a day after its release. So I didn't even get to see the video actually. It was released on Wednesday and before it even reached 24 hours, it was already taken down. Online, the responses range from disappointment to outrage, emphasizing the insensitive nature of the depiction. The song itself, meant to explore themes of discovery and change, has been overshadowed by the controversy. Mrs. Green Apple has apologized, stating the video was intended to represent a fantastical party across eras, not to offend. However, the damage was done, and even their commercial partners like Coca-Cola have distanced themselves from the campaign associated with the song. So this was actually for a summer commercial campaign for Coca-Cola for here in Japan, and they've been doing this for a while now. They've collaborated with Niju, for example, I think New Jeans as well. And so this is a big thing to be an artist, to be able to collaborate with Coca-Cola, but unfortunately, they fumbled the bag. So what do you guys think? Hearing this piece of news, do you think a lot of people these days feel like people are too woke, for example? But again, this was a video. Can't really show anything. I might get flagged down for copyright. So, but you can still see the video if you search hard enough. And there are some critiques online as well from the English-speaking community. So you can see shorts, I believe. What do you think? Still don't know how to connect this thing to Instagram. Somebody help me. I tried it when the live ended last week. I actually tried connecting it to Instagram. I got to do it, but then again, while I was doing this today, nothing. I don't know why. All right, so going back to the story about Mrs. Green Apple. As I mentioned earlier, this breaks my heart because I really like their music, and I still do. That hasn't changed, but I am disappointed at their lack of awareness. First of all, some fans have raised the question, is this even problematic at all? And my answer is a resounding yes. Columbus voyages aren't just historical events. They represent the beginning of devastating colonial impacts that many of us still feel today. I come from a country that was colonized by 3 different countries, including Japan. So that's Spain, the US, and Japan. So I can say for a fact that even today, that loss of identity, the loss of language, things like that, it may have happened 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago, but the effects are really long lasting. So yeah, they call it discovery, but for us, it's the rape of a nation, the loss of an identity. Yeah, but I do, when I was looking at some of like the Japanese comments, most people were saying negative things, but there are some comments that say like, I really don't get it, like those people are dead now, it's not like they have to say sorry to those dead people. Really horrible. Okay. And depicting indigenous people as lesser beings, this is really where I'm taking issue at, especially in a country like Japan with its own history of imperialism, is not just offensive. It's a painful reminder of the struggles of, you know, us trying to get recognition, struggles for dignity for the many communities that, yeah, was affected by colonialism. That's why it's crucial to challenge these representations, no matter how artistic or metaphorical they may intend to be. And then also I saw some fans like, 悪気はないよって言ってたんですけど, which means like they didn't really mean anything about it and they didn't have any bad intentions. And I do believe it. I agree as well. But what it clearly displays to me is a lack of knowledge, or simply put, ignorance. And I feel like that's where it starts, right? When you don't know your history well enough, you're bound to repeat it. So, and that history that I'm talking about is a really painful history. So, you don't want that to be repeated. I think for them it was just like, hey, let's cosplay Columbus, it's gonna be fun. But no, that historical figure represents so many things, slavery and other stuff, right? But in a way, I have to say that it's a good thing that it's ignorance. It's not really some fascist agenda that's spreading these days as well. Because ignorance can easily be remedied by education. And they have taken steps to remedy the situation. They've apologized. It is a written apology. They have not done like one of those press conferences, apology conferences. This is a really interesting kind of apologizing in Japan. It's although Korea might have it as well. If you have a scandal, usually you have like a press conference with a lot of reporters, and then you kind of display, you do this public display of apology, and at the end of that, it's reported in the news and like wide show and even in the evening news, and they criticize every move that you make. So, for example, oh, she only bowed twice. She's not really very sincere about it. Or there was only one teardrop when people expected like a lot of tears and stuff like that. So it is really interesting. And one of my senpais back when I was doing grad school actually majored on this, and his papers about it were very interesting. I think he recently published a book about it as well, Japan Scandal. I'll have to get back to you about the title and just put it in the description box when this is uploaded as a regular video. But yeah, his name is Igor Prusa. I'm not, I'm just like saying, this is his academic name, so I'm pretty sure it's okay to put it out there. So yeah, it is really interesting, and I recommend reading that book. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna read some of the comments here. So Patricia says, many Japanese people are also ignorant about the history of the Ainu people, yes. And or how Okinawans were used as human shield during World War II. That's why even to this day, because is it only like 50 years, I believe, that like they did like Okinawa is Japan kind of thing. Even to this day, you would see or you would meet people from Okinawa not really identifying as Japanese. And sometimes they would even say that they're more friendly towards Taiwanese people because the distance is quite close. And historically, these two like have been helping each other out as well. But yeah, some of the people up to now don't really identify as much, or even not as friendly as much towards mainland Japanese people. And another comment from Patricia, public apologies in Japan are indeed really performative. Yes, I love the studies about this. So it's quite hard to know whether those apologies are heartfelt or not. I think it's already understood that once you make a public apology or shazaiken, that's what we call it, people are expecting performance, but at the same time, they still scrutinize every detail of your public apology. And it is really interesting, especially, when the person involved is a woman. Like, agencies or labels really have to dial every detail of this public apology, like what they wear or what the language they use is. Of course, they already have a script, like how deep is the bow. These are the things that are being measured when you're doing a public apology. And again, I'm gonna search for it because let me see. Okay, so the book name is Scandal in Japan, Transgression, Performance, and Ritual. So I haven't actually read this book yet, but again, this is by one of my senpais. And it is 7,000 yen, so it's quite expensive. Maybe I should just ask him for a free copy. But yeah. And there is also like one paper that he published before this, and it is very, very interesting. Okay. Going back to Mrs. Green Apple, do I think that the scandal is right? Okay, before I go through that, so keep recommending books. For me, I don't really believe in cancel culture. I think it's an excessive manifestation of hatred. It doesn't really do anybody service. If you're interested, I'm gonna recommend another two books that revolve around the subject. So one is You've Been Publicly Shamed by Ron Johnson. And he goes on to interview the early victims of cancel culture, which at the time was mostly known as public shaming. So this book was released in 2015. Most of the people interviewed are like from a decade ago. And the other book that I want to recommend is The Chaos Machine by Max Fisher. It highlights how social media is engineered to fan and fuel hatred. And this book it really made me realize the role that social media plays when it comes to social unrest. So, and a lot of very good examples as well. It's not just centralized to the US. Very interesting. Social media plus developing countries is actually a very, very bad combination when it comes to social unrest. Okay, so do I think that this scandal is the end of Mrs. Green Apple and that they won't be able to recover from it? Hardly. And I sure hope it's not, because I really listen to their music and I do like them. And besides, this is Japan. As long as you have connections, you'll be able to make a comeback. Case in point, do you remember Watabe? That CD comedian who's married to an actress, and then he cheated on his wife several times. And his kink is that he does it in multi-purpose toilets, tamokuteki toire. So these are public toilets for people who they're usually for people who have disabilities, for example, or even for like people who are not comfortable with going to either male or female toilets. So this was his whole kink, and it was really, really disgusting. Everybody just like had bad things to say. He had sort of a wholesome image, wholesome enough that he was part of a noontime show in Japan. So he's like one of the main hosts there, but he lost everything after this scandal. And I really thought that this would be the end of him, but it only took him 2 years to come back. So that says a lot. And I think he was able to come back because he has connections. I mean, the comedian culture, the comedian community in the entertainment industry is kind of tight. He was able to come back in this Netflix special, Live One. Oh, sorry, Last One Standing. I think that's the name of the special. And this is an improv comedy show, and it only centers on comedians. And I think you might have heard of the scandal of Downtown Matsumoto as well. So I think Downtown is kind of like not in the spotlight as of late because of that scandal. And the other duo that's coming up is Chidori. So this comedy special is led by this comedy duo. And yeah, they were able to feature him in that show. They, of course, highlighted that he had a scandal. They weren't sweeping it under the rug, but he was treated as like one of the newbies just to show the people that, hey, we know that he did something bad. We're not hiding it, but we're giving him another chance. Kind of like that. Yeah. Okay. All right. How is everybody feeling? I know these pieces of news are not entirely fun. I don't know, but I do think they're interesting. They give us like an insight into Japanese society and stuff. Okay. All right, I think we're actually over time already. Didn't notice the time. So let's go to the last story for today, for this episode. And this might be for people who are interested in coming to Japan as a tourist. So, story number 3, proposed price hike at Himeji Castle. This is in Hyogo Prefecture. So, Himeji Castle in Hyogo Prefecture is considering a significant change to its pricing structure, specifically targeting foreign tourists with a substantial price increase. Currently, the entrance fee for adults over 18 is 1,000, but the proposed plan would raise this fee to about 4,000 yen for foreign visitors, while maintaining a lower rate for local residents. The intent behind this tiered pricing or dual pricing, as explained by Himeji's mayor, is to manage over-tourism and generate funds for necessary repairs and maintenance of the castle, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So, tiered pricing or dual pricing in the tourism industry involves setting different price levels for different groups of visitors, typically charging tourists more than local residents. This approach is often implemented to balance the economic benefits of tourism with the need to preserve local resources and manage visitor impact on historical and cultural sites. Osaka Castle has reacted positively to this news. The governor of Osaka Prefecture expressed strong support for this, and he also said that maybe this is something that Osaka Castle would also do. Examples of dual pricing are common globally, especially in tourist-heavy destinations. So countries like Thailand and Jordan, or for example, have implemented similar strategies. So what do you think? I might have a controversial take on this one, but oh, okay. Please send the titles of the books. I'm gonna send it on the chat right now, so you guys can see it. Okay, first is I'm gonna support my senpai, so I'm gonna send his book first. So again, this is a recent release, Scandal in Japan, Transgression, Performance and Ritual by Igor Pusa. And then we have So You've Been Publicly Shamed by Ron Johnson. And the last one is The Chaos Machine by Max Fisher. These are really very interesting reads. Okay, going back to Himeji Castle. Okay, to summarize, I actually support the idea of dual pricing for tourist attractions because what's the point of tourism if it doesn't benefit the local community? What's the point of tourism if there are more damages than there are helpful things, and if it's not sustainable, for example? When we charge tourists more, we can keep these places in good shape and make sure locals can still afford to visit. Take Niseko, for example. So Niseko is a premier skiing destination in Hokkaido. And last winter, I saw this news from Day Day. So it's a white show. And they reported that the seafood bowls, or kaisendon, were priced 6,000 yen. So these seafood bowls are usually just 2,000, 3,000. But because of what they call inbound price, it was actually sold for 6,000. That's ridiculously expensive. The price hike clearly didn't have local customers in mind. And I also think that having higher prices for World Heritage sites, I might get in trouble for saying this again, but other than helping the World Heritage site for its upkeep, I think setting a higher price would discourage problematic customers or tourists as well. Because if you remember last year, there was this Canadian teen tourist who vandalized one of the temples in Nara. And it's like 100,000 years old temple, and they just vandalized it. I'm not saying that money equals culture, but I feel like maybe having to pay more would actually make people think twice about committing acts like this. And it's actually the implementation of this pricing model that I think needs careful attention because, as I mentioned, I work for a travel company, and one of the destinations I manage is Hawaii. And in Hawaii, what they use is like discounts for tourists. Sorry, discounts for local residents. So we have what we call Kamaina discount, which is around like a 25 discount for local residents, and we also have a military discount, which is like 20% off or something like that. And this goes for tours and activities, for hotel stays, for restaurants, dining, and stuff like that. And again, the keyword here is discounts because people are not going to be happy if you phrase this like surcharge for tourists. Some people might take it as racism, right? Because I've already seen Reddit threads saying that these things feel like they are judging you or they are making you pay more based on what you look like, which is not really the case. Yeah, again, it helps with the upkeep, it makes it more sustainable, and well, you're traveling anyway, and really it would help the economy. Okay. All right, so those are our stories for today. How do you guys feel about it? Yeah. Okay, Oscar here says it's not a bad idea, although I feel like four times the normal price may be a bit much. I do agree. Like, yeah, it's really the implementation that I'm worried about. Because if the markup is really too expensive for the tourists, there's kind of disrespect there as well. Um, he's also wondering how much it's enforced. There's already, according to one of my former classmates in grad school as well, there's already one restaurant in Shibuya is already implementing this, apparently. I'm not sure about others, but again, these are just talks. And then Christian says, thank you for the recommendation. You're welcome. And okay, Oscar says, yeah, great idea. Okay, so I think that's it for today. We are way over time. Usually this is just for 30 minutes. This is only the second time I'm doing it anyway. But thank you very much for joining me. I hope you guys have a good week, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.